Okay, welcome back to Unveiling Truths. Now we're going to identify the Hebrew Israelites, and it's going to be very clear whom they are as we get into Scripture. To start off, we're going to read about how they were forewarned. We're going to read about how they agreed with the covenant and said that they would obey God. Then we're going to read what happened to cause the Israelites to break God's covenant. Then we're going to go into the curses. So we're going to get started now. Now, first I want to, before I get started, we're going to talk, I'm going to show you some things about vows. Making an agreement with God, telling God something, making a vow with God, so that you can understand the importance of this, okay? I'm going to just read certain scriptures because I don't want to take up a whole lot of time. I want to read so much more, but I need to get through some things. Now, what I'm going to do, instead of just reading about a story, I'm going to want to just pull up scripture. Let's do it that way. This is talking about a vow, but it's going into a story. And what I want to do really is one story I kind of want to read to you, but I'm going to try and stick with the shorter scriptures for the most part, since we have a lot to kind of go over, because I want to try to get into the Hebrew Israelites, who they are, and I know that you want to know who they are as well. It says, if a man vow a vow unto the Lord, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. Now, this, understand, and the reason why I'm telling you this is because this is what we're about to read that the Israelites did. If a man vow a vow unto the Lord, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. You cannot go back on your word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. Notice, he shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. Okay? So, I'm wanting you to understand now what the Hebrew Israelites did. Well, they had a choice, actually. They had a choice to either serve God and be blessed, or, especially after he delivered them out of Egypt, you know, what he done for them out of Egypt. Or they could not serve God and be cursed, or whatever, you know. They had a choice either to be blessed or cursed, okay? And they chose to be blessed, of course. Anybody would, unless they just were not quite dealing with a full deck. It says, when thou shalt vow a vow unto the Lord thy God, thou shalt not slack to pay it. For the Lord thy God will surely require it of thee, and it would be sin in thee. But if thou shalt forbear to vow, that means don't vow, don't do it, it shall be no sin in thee. That which is going out of, let me pull this up some so you can see. That which is going out of thy lips, thou shalt keep and perform do it, even a free will offering according as thou hast vowed unto the Lord thy God, which thou hast promised with thy mouth. Remember when I was telling you how when Hebrew Israelites get into a highly stressed situation, they instinctively know how to call out on their God, and that they will start vowing vows. If you get me out of this, if you get me out of that, I'll never do this or I'll never do that again, and different things like that, and making all kind of vows. Understand that when you get out of that situation, everything you said you're going to have to do, or it will become sin in you. Okay? So remember when I tried to give you advice earlier, be careful with your words. Be careful. Don't say something unless you're pretty sure that you can perform it. And we're gonna there's one story I'm gonna read to you, because it's important for you to understand how you can vow a vow and expect it to be one way, but it could be something completely opposite of what you would even expect for it to be. So you may say, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this, but then after you get out of that and you forget, you'll get in a worse predicament. And then you'll be ready to vow again, but you'll be stuck there. Because see, if you didn't keep your first vow, why would God believe that you keep your second one? So be careful. When thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it. Don't linger. Don't put it off. Defer not to pay it. For he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Okay? Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. So be careful. Be careful with your words, because God will hold you to it. Don't be sitting up there saying, oh Lord, if you get me out of this, I'll be a pastor. I'll be doing whatever you want me to do. And then he tell you, okay, well, I want you to go preach to that congregation like he did Jonah. I want you to do Jonah. I want you to go and preach to the people in Nineveh. And then you're saying, Nineveh's a wicked city, and those people are stoning me or whatever. Well, you said you do whatever I told you. So be careful about opening your mouth. About opening your mouth. Okay, and I know that when we get in stressful situations, we just want to get out of it. I do understand that. But there's something that you're going to need to understand too. Well, let me come back to this. This is the story I'm going to want to read, but I'm going to want to read that last. But I'm just wanting you to be clear on when you vow. When you make a vow before the Lord, how you have to be very careful that you can pay that vow that you're opening your mouth to vow to God with, okay? Let me see. And the Lord shall be known to Egypt, and the Egyptians shall know that the Lord in that day, shall know the Lord in that day, and shall do sacrifice and oblation. Yeah, they shall vow a vow unto the Lord and perform it. Well, that's good, as long as they perform it. But it's saying that even the Egyptians are going to do it, or going to be doing God's will. Vowing vows to God, but they're going to know that once they vow it, they got to keep it. And that's something that we need to not take lightly, because a worse thing will come upon you, and then you'll be ready to vow again, and he won't deliver you. He'll let you stew in your juices, and then you'll wish you had done the right thing. He shall call to the heavens from above, and to the earth, he that... wait a minute. Do I have the right scripture? see something. That might have been Proverbs. Let me see. No, I can't be Proverbs. Okay, I can't. I cannot pull this up for some reason. Okay. Well, it's because it does this for 50 and I just wrote that wrong somehow. So let me just keep it moving. I mean, that wasn't the scripture I was looking for. So let's see. Okay, it says here, praise waiteth for thee, O God of Zion, and unto thee shall the vow be performed. Just as long as you can perform your vow. Okay? But I'm going to tell you something. Be careful, because I'm going to read you this story now. And this will make you to know why you have to be careful about opening your mouth. This will be an example. Okay. Now let me go and kind of recap on what Jephthah situation is. Okay, Jephthah, he was born. His mother was a harlot, and his brethren, back then men had multiple wives. Polygamy was not against the law in some countries years ago. And people had wives and concubines, which we read. Abraham had wives and concubines. A whole lot of other had wives and concubines. Okay. Jephthah's mother was a harlot or whore. And his siblings rejected him and didn't want him to inherit with them, and they ran him off. But he was a mighty man, a warrior, a mighty man of valor. So when Jephthah's siblings, after they ran him off, they got into a stress situation where they were going to have to go and war with the Ammonites, I believe. But so they came back to Jephthah and said that they wanted him to be captive. And he said, well, why should I help you all war when you all chased me away? So they said, well, we're going to make you captain of us. And he said, well, even once they're delivered into their hands, will he still be their captain? And they said, yeah. So Jephthah is going so he agreed. He said, okay, well, fine, I'll help you war. So this is what Jephthah is praying, vowing a vow to God about. So absorb this story so that you can be careful with your words about vows, especially vowing before the Lord. And Jephthah vowed a vow unto the Lord and said, if thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into mine hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the door of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering. I'm going to pull this up. So Jephthah passed over unto the children of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hands. And he smote them from Aroer even until thou come to Minnith, even 20 cities, and unto the plain of the vineyard with a very great slaughter. And the children of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel. And Jephthah came to Mizpah, unto his house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and with dance, and she was his only child. Besides her he had neither son nor daughter. And it came to pass, when he saw her, that he rent his clothes. He rent his clothes because he was disappointed, and said, Alas, my daughter, thou hast brought me very low, for thou art one of them that trouble me. For I have opened my mouth unto the Lord, and I cannot go back. He told the Lord that whatever met him when he came back, the first thing that met him when he came back, he would sacrifice it to God. I don't know what would make him even vow a vow like that, knowing that he had a daughter, only one daughter, and of course she would be someone who would come out to meet her father when he returned. I don't know what he was thinking. And she said unto him, My father, if thou hast opened thy mouth unto the Lord, do to me according to that which hath proceeded out of thy mouth. For as much as the Lord hath taken vengeance for thee of thy enemies, even of the children of Ammon. And she said unto her father, Let this thing be done for me. Let me alone 2 months, that I may go up and down upon the mountain, and bewail my virginity, as I and my fellows. And he said, Go. And he sent her away for 2 months. And she went with her companions, and bewailed her virginity upon the mountains. And it came to pass at the end of 2 months, that she returned unto her father, who did according as his vow which he hath vowed. And she knew no man. And it was a custom in Israel, that the daughters of Israel went yearly to lament, to mourn the daughter of Jephthah, the Gileadite, 4 days in a year. He sacrificed his only daughter. He sacrificed his only daughter, his only child, unto the Lord, which is what he vowed. Now, why he would have vowed something like that, I don't know if he's expecting a dog to be the first thing to come out over the threshold of the door to meet him, or what. I don't know what he possibly could have been thinking. But this is a story to show you how you might think things may go one way when things may go a completely whole different way. But God will expect for you to honor your words. So be careful. Be careful. Okay? Be very, very careful. Now I was going to tell you a story, but I'm going to leave me out of it for a change. Now we're going to talk about the Israelites, how God warned them. Okay? No, we're going to go to this. Okay, we're going to go to the Israelites' vows. The Israelites' agreements to obey the Lord. Okay? And these are vows. These are oaths. Okay? Okay, it says, Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, this is God talking to Israel, the people, his people, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all the people, for all the earth is mine. We read this earlier. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. Okay, and Moses came and called the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded him. Okay, so this is Moses. Now listen to this. And all the people answered together. All the people answered together and said, all that the Lord hath spoken, we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Lord. The reason why Moses was being like a mediator is because when God spoke to them out of the fire, they were afraid of him. And he said, well, let Moses speak. Let Moses talk to God, and we'll just believe, do what Moses says. So Moses became a mediator between the Israelites and God. But it states clearly here, and all, this is what they're saying, and all the people answered together, all of them agreed, and said, all that the Lord hath spoken, we will do. They just made a covenant. They just made a vow, a covenant oath vow at that point. They agreed. Okay? Now we're going to find out, we're going to, I'm sorry. Now remember when we said that everything that proceeds out of our mouths we have to do? Okay. And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which the Lord hath said, we will do. Okay? This is the Israelites agreeing. They agreed. We seen twice where they agreed. They made an agreement that they would follow the Lord. All of them together. Then it says, and he took the book of the covenant, this is the covenant, and read it in the audience of the people. He read it to them. And they said, all that the Lord hath said we will do, and be obedient. Okay? Now that's the third time that the Israelites agreed. Correct? Now we're going to keep it moving. Go thou near and hear all that the Lord our God shall say, and speak thou unto us all that the Lord our God shall speak unto thee, and we will hear it and do it. Okay, let's read that again. Go thou near. This is the Israelites telling Moses, you go near and hear all that the Lord our God, they know it's their God too, shall say. And speak thou unto us all that the Lord our God shall speak unto thee. And we will hear it, they will hear it, and do it. Okay? And this is when God agrees. And the Lord heard the voice of your words, when ye spake unto me, and the Lord said unto me, I have heard the voice of the words of the people, which they have spoken unto thee. They have well said all that they have spoken. Okay, he's agreeing with you. Okay, well, if this is the way you want it, that's fine with me. So God agrees with it, with them speaking through Moses, and they will hear it and obey it. Okay. Okay. Now this is Joshua speaking to him. Moses is passed at this time. Neither Moses nor the adults that were 20 and up made it into the promised land. They all died off. So the only one that made it was, except for Joshua and Caleb. Those were the only two adults that came out of Egypt that made it into the promised land, because they wholly followed the Lord. They didn't murmur and complain. They didn't follow the group. They kept their eyes on God, and no matter what happened, they stayed holy, and so they were able to make it into the promised land, but everybody else died off. So now Joshua, Moses ordained Joshua to be the leader over the Israelites' children, to take them into the land. So now this is Joshua talking with the children. He's older than them. He's an adult over them, him and Caleb, but he is in charge. And this is Joshua talking. If ye forsake the Lord and serve strange gods, then he will turn and do you hurt. He, meaning God, will turn and do you hurt and consume you after he hath done you good, after he hath preserved you, took you out of Egypt and took you through the wilderness and da-da-da. And the people said unto Joshua, Nay, no, but we will serve the Lord. Okay, and Joshua said unto the people, Ye are witnesses against yourselves that ye have chosen you, the Lord, to serve him. And they said, We are witnesses. They agreed again. Okay, because the Israelites was like children that needed constant supervision. I mean, now it says, Now therefore put away, he said, the strange gods which are among you, and incline your hearts unto the Lord God of Israel. And the people said unto Joshua, The Lord our God we will serve, and his voice we will obey. Okay, so Joshua made a covenant with the people that day and set them a statute and an ordinance in Shechem. Okay, so again, the Hebrew Israelites agreed. Okay, so now that they clearly made the covenant, let's try and find out what happened. Now that it is very clear that they made the covenant. Excuse me, I'm thumbing through pages. I can't believe that I lost the page I needed. Okay. So now these are diligent heedings that God is giving them. Instructions, strict instructions. Okay. Now these are warnings that the Israelites are getting in advance. Remember how I told you I was going to show you in advance warnings? Okay, we saw where you had to be careful about vows, and we saw where they did make vows with their mouths, agreeing. It says, only take heed to yourself. Okay, be careful. Be careful take heed to yourself, and keep thy soul diligently. That means be very, very protective of your soul. Your soul, not your flesh, your soul that dwells forever. Okay? Keep thy soul diligently. Protect your soul. Lest thou what? Forget the things which thine eyes have seen. Lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons. Okay, let's go over that again. Only take careful heed to yourself. Diligent is it? Only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently. Thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But do what? Vitally important. Teach them. Why? To your sons and to your grandchildren. Pass them down to your generations. Why? Because your sons didn't see it. Your grandsons didn't see it. So how else could they know if you don't teach them? If you don't pass it down, then how possibly are they supposed to know? Okay? It says, especially the day that thou stoodest before the Lord thy God in Horeb, when the Lord said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them to hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may what? Teach their children. How else are your children supposed to know that they're under a covenant, that they're under an oath? Unless you teach them, unless you tell them. Okay? So, we're going to move on. Now remember, we're talking about not forgetting God and teaching their children, right? Now it says here, take heed to yourselves. There's that heed. Take heed. Be careful. Take heed unto yourselves, lest ye forget the covenant of the Lord your God, which he made with you, and make you a graven image, or the likeness of anything, the likeness, a graven image, or the likeness of anything. God don't want you creating nothing, anything. That's the reason why he presented himself in a fire. There was no similitude. There was no image. It was just in a fire, and they heard a voice out of a fire, which the Lord thy God hath forbidden thee. He has forbidden you to make anything, the likeness of anything. Okay? For the Lord thy God is a consuming fire, even a jealous God. He is a jealous God. At least he admits it. At least he admits it, that he is a jealous God. When thou shalt beget or conceive or make children, when thou shalt bear children, beget children, and children's children, grandchildren, on down the line, your generational line, and ye shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves, because you've forgotten what you're supposed to be doing. You forgot. If you forget the Lord, you're going to forget what his laws, his ordinances, his 10 commandments. If you forget God, you're going to forget the things of God. and make a graven image or the likeness of anything. The likeness of anything. Whether it's a cross, whether it's a human with wings, which we're going to talk about that as well. Anything. Okay? A graven image, something that you look to as a god, or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of the Lord thy God. Remember, doing evil in the sight of God to provoke him to anger. When you do things, you better be worrying about who's seeing you, not man, but who's really seeing you, and that's God. Let me show you something. That should be right. I'm going to say in Proverbs. Understand this very, very clearly. The eyes of the Lord are in every place. He's omnipresent, everywhere at once, beholding the evil and the good. There's nothing that you're doing that God's not beaming down on, that God doesn't know. So understand that when you do something and you call yourself hiding, you can't hide from God. If he is omnipresent everywhere at once, the heaven of heavens cannot even contain him. So what makes you think if he can fill the heaven of heavens that he's not all throughout this earth, everywhere he wants to be when he wants to be there, observing everything? Everything. Okay? So don't think that you're getting over on God. Okay? Don't think that you are hiding. You may be hiding from man. You may be hiding from your spouse, from your boyfriend, but you're not hiding from God. You're only hiding from man. So understand that God is omnipresent, everywhere at once. You cannot do anything that he does not know about. Okay? Then beware lest thou forget the Lord. Let me go back in. Okay, he's saying when he's blessed you with good things, and houses full of all good things, which thou fillest not, and wells dig which thou diggest not, vineyards and olive trees which thou plantest not, when thou shalt have eaten and be full, then after you have everything that you need, everything you've asked God for, he has blessed you with your desires, then beware lest thou forget the Lord, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God and serve him. And thou shalt swear by his name. Okay? You said thou shalt fear the Lord and serve him. Him only. Okay? Him only. Ye shall not go after other gods, little g, other gods, of the gods of the people which are round about you. Okay? For the Lord thy God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. He will take you up out of here. Okay? So please do not forget the Lord. This is why he's giving you warning. He's giving you a heads up now. He's telling you in advance, when I've given you all these things and you're comfortable, don't forget him. Okay? Now, this warns you again. It starts off, beware, beware, that thou forget not the Lord thy God, and not keeping his commandments, his judgments, and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Leviticus gives you, in its modern time today, of course we don't use animals for service work anymore, but Leviticus gives you heads up about what God is expecting. And Leviticus is a very detailed book. A lot of what Leviticus warns us not to do, we have been doing. And I want to get into some of the things of Leviticus. I want to eventually get into some of the things just to let you know what we've been guilty of and are guilty of today. Homosexuality is an abomination in the sight of God. Let me see. Okay. This should be like in Leviticus. Okay. Now it clearly states that homosexuality is an abomination. Leviticus 20 and 13. If a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, if a man lies with mankind as if he's lying with a woman, that means he's having sex with another man. Both of them, both, it ain't no such thing as the masculine being out. Both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death, and their blood shall be upon them. Now back in those days, they were serious about the law. I think this is it. They were serious about the law. And there was a whole lot of things that would get you in serious trouble. And these types of things, okay, I know. So I might as well, since we're kind of on this subject, I might as well go ahead and nip this. Even though I really kind of want to come back to it later because I got some photos that I really had intended to show. But since I somehow came on this subject, okay. Okay, see, God, some people are so, they are so desirous to go in a direction that God is trying to keep them from in, that His Spirit will just leave them alone. Okay, well, you want to go down that road, go ahead on down it. Because I've kept trying to warn you. But if you want to go down there, then I've done my part, okay? because sometimes God will give you up. It says, for this cause God gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one towards another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their errors, which was to me AIDS. No telling what kind of other things come up as a result of just sin. But it tells you that men with men. It even tells you here, women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. I'm not exactly sure what that's meaning. I don't know exactly. But anyways, I guess two women or toys or something, maybe. I'm not sure. Let me not try to say, and I might be wrong. So anyways, homosexuality is not of God. I mean, that's just all there's to it. Okay? Let's see. Now, where were we? Oh, I hate when I get off track, but it's just something that happens. Okay. Let's see what we were doing here. Okay. So, okay, now this is God giving us warning. Beware that thou forget not the Lord thy God, in not keeping his commandments, and his judgments, and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Lest when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses, and dwelt therein, and when thy herds, or in modern day, when thy cars, when thy flocks multiply, when thy, furniture in a house, you got nice cars, you got nice furniture, and thy silver and thy gold, thy money is built up, banked up, has multiplied, and all that thou hast multiplied, and everything that you have an overabundance of. That's just like when I, as a single parent, in a 3-bedroom home on half an acre of land with 4 cars in a truck and trying to get a business up and running. I mean, when you think about that, that's a whole lot for one person. For one person. Normally, to have accumulated that much, and I'm talking a house full of furniture, but the thing, and I mean, every house was filled. I mean, every room was filled. I needed a bigger house. But it just goes to show you that God will overflow you. He will give you more than enough. Okay? So understand, when he gives you more than enough, it says, then thine heart be lifted up. And actually, I'm guilty of this. My heart, at one time, working with the businesses and trying to do so much, I was so busy with the businesses that I had little time to spend with God. So I am guilty of that as well. That thou forget the Lord thy God, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. So believe me, you be saying, I'm not going to forget, oh, give me this, give me that, I'm not going to forget. You can get so busy. The devil can put so many obstacles in your way and blockages to, like a stumbling block, just to keep you so busy that you'll find yourself not. It'll be, you know what, it was times when I thought I could rest, something else had to be done. And every time I turn around, I was always busy. I mean, I got little rest. It was times I was up almost 24 hours a day, just busy. So understand that the devil can get you so busy that you will forget God. So when he's telling you here to beware, beware. He's telling you, he's warning you. Now, I didn't learn about these. See, God didn't get me into these scriptures. See, I was a New Testament person operating in ignorance and the lack of knowledge. And I was a New Testament person, not knowledgeable about the fact that I was reading about the Romans rather than myself. Didn't even have any true knowledge of who the Bible truly was about. I thought it was about white people. Why? Because all of the portraits in America portray Caucasian images. And your psyche and your mind is kind of like subliminal messages. Like if you go to a theater and they show you, and you're sitting up there during intermission, and they show you these subliminal messages about Coke and popcorn, and then all of a sudden you're saying, I'm thirsty, I'm going to go get me some popcorn. Why? Because the subliminal messages fed you that. Well, I'm looking at many subliminal messages throughout the United States of a Caucasian looking Messiah, of a Caucasian looking angels and everything. So as a child growing up and everything I saw was Caucasian, well, what was in my psyche? That the Bible was about Caucasians.